Welcome back to AgriTalk Online here at Commodity Classic in Tampa, Florida. We often talk about the benefits of AGROTAIN and how more and more farmers are looking at using urea or UAN fertilizer. Now, AGROTAIN, really the only technology there to help control the ammonia volatilization on the soil surface. So you're not losing a part of your investment, and at the same time, you're also increasing your yields. Now, it's not just an advertising claim. I mean, there's research that's been done on this, and one of those researchers is Dr. Greg Schwab, University of Kentucky, Associate Professor of Plant and Soil Sciences. Dr. Schwab, thank you for joining us. Tell us about the research you've done on AGROTAIN.
Okay, it's good to be here. We've been working with AGROTAIN for the last, 4 or 5 years in no-till corn production, and the reason why we were interested is because our farmers were used to using ammonium nitrate at that time, and with ammonium nitrate becoming more expensive and harder to get a hold of, we needed to switch to some other product. And urea by itself, we have the volatilization problem, and so urea with AGROTAIN, really the comparison that our farmers wanted to see was that compared to ammonium nitrate, which doesn't volatilize.
Yeah, because some farmers maybe have shied away from urea use because of that volatilization, and now with a product like AGROTAIN, you can eliminate that concern.
Of course, nobody wants to use a product where 20 or 30% of what they invest in is gone. And so ammonium nitrate was desirable because you didn't have to worry about the volatilization. And so on our comparisons, that was always the comparison that the farmer was interested in. And almost all of the time, the urea treated with AGROTAIN performs equally to ammonium nitrate and much better than urea by itself.
So it's one thing then, on one end you're not losing, but on the other end, what are you gaining as far as yields concerned?
Well, it depends on what rate of nitrogen you choose. Obviously, I try to hammer on farmers that if they use too much nitrogen, then loss is not a big factor. They can afford to lose some. But with the price of nitrogen, farmers are trying to ratchet down their fertilizer use. And so depending on how close they are to optimum, every pound of nitrogen that you lose could be a bushel of corn. And so, if you lose 20 pounds or 30 pounds, that could be 20 or 30 bushels,
Pretty costly with the prices the way they are now. So what AGROTAIN does, I would think for many farmers, brings urea back into the mix here.
Right, and that's desirable because, we can go over the top of a lot of acres with urea compared to, say, knifing in UAN or anhydrous. And so it adds to the speed of getting the job done in a timely manner, and so that's desirable.
Let's turn to Jimmy Johnson, an AGROTAIN representative. And Jimmy, are you seeing farmers then with this AGROTAIN technology be more open to switching to urea?
Oh, yes, sir. I started with AGROTAIN about 9 years ago, and our sales continue to grow each year. And it's just because the farmers have seen the results. We've had good researchers like Dr. Schwab and others throughout the U.S. has put out this, and they've proved that the AGROTAIN works. And a lot of farmers go to the dealer, and the dealer needs to get away from the ammonium nitrate because of all the regulations and all this. And so the AGROTAIN with urea has given them an opportunity to use the kind of fertilizer and get the kind of yields that they deserve.
I don't want to minimize your effectiveness as a good salesman, but it sure helps to have that independent research, doesn't it?
Yes, sir, and that's one thing that we love to be able to talk about with AGROTAIN because all these researchers have shown and proved that AGROTAIN works. They've showed the mode of action. We know that it's the only product that will control ammonia volatilization, and it's easy to figure out. We have these little smell cups that we do as salespeople, and then the researchers take it into the labs. They take it out in the field. All the different methods that's ever been used to measure ammonia volatilization, AGROTAIN has always reduced the amount of ammonia that's coming off the soil. And the ammonia that goes off the soil, it goes in the air and it's lost, and the crop will never be able to benefit from it.
So now's the time to be talking to their supplier.
Yes, sir. We're going to be a lot of corn planted this year, and corn needs a lot of nitrogen, and you need to get every bit of it. And AGROTAIN's the way you can get the maximum use of it.
And Dr. Schwab, your research, multi-year research, I mean, we know conditions change from one year to the next, and you can't just take a one-year snapshot. You need a bigger picture.
Right. So what we try to do in research is we try to put it into the toughest environment we know. And so that's no-till corn, warm soils, wet soils going through a drying period. And so we try to to kind of force the research to separate out products. So we're looking at more than just AgriTalk in terms of its performance. And so we do that so that we have the biggest difference in product performance. And so when we do that, we see that, AgriTalk is always up there in the top of the pack.
So whether we're talking no-till or conventional till?
Right. So we're historically a no-till state in Kentucky, and so I think I would probably get kicked out of the department if I did very much conventional till work. But high residue conditions is definitely where the highest loss potential is, and so that's where the product looks the best.
The bottom line, what we're saying is here, a producer needs to look at how urea could fit into their operation, and if you're going to use urea, AgriTalk is a way to maximize the impact of urea.
That's for sure. Sometimes when you use urea, loss is not a big factor. So if it rains right afterwards, then you don't have to worry so much about loss. But it's very hard to predict if that's going to happen, and it's also very hard to get all of your fertilizer on right before rain. And so the AgriTalk kind of gives you that flexibility of applying it when conditions aren't ideal.
So unless you can predict the weather, AgriTalk is a pretty good hedge against a weather problem.
It's a very good fit for that.
All right. Our thanks to Dr. Greg Schwab, University of Kentucky Associate Professor of Plant and Soil Sciences, and Jimmy Johnson, representative for AgriTalk. Again, it could add a whole new tool to your toolbox, really, bringing urea back into the mix because you can protect against its loss by using AgriTalk. Our thanks to both these gentlemen and all of our guests here at Commodity Classic. Thank you for joining us as well for our bonus coverage of Commodity Classic in Tampa, Florida, here on AgriTalk Online.